We are data control, and we are excited to be speaking to you today. We are Marianne, Sohi, Bhavya, Jason, who's on 2 teams, and Rosa. We are all second-year master students at Parsons in the Design and Technology program, and our work covers a variety of interest areas from machine learning and 3D modeling to game theory and community building. But what unites us is our desire to create and utilize technology that is equitable, responsible, and transparent. When you visit a website for the first time, you'll probably see a notice like this. It's the entry point for many websites. You're asked how you want your privacy respected, if you agree to certain cookies, if you want to make sure the website is usable, whatever that means. But usually the language in these notices is vague and confusing to read, especially if you're not well versed in data usage policies. And even if you do decide to change the default preferences, you're faced with even more complexity. Privacy policies are long, detailed, and usually not written in plain language. And every company has their own version of a policy, so you have to opt out at every individual website. Each site has different language about the preferences you're selecting. So even if you take the time to understand and select your desired privacy settings, it's challenging to know the consequences of opting in or out. Simply put, this is not a user-friendly experience for anyone but the company.
So we wanted to understand how people felt about this process. So we surveyed a number of people within our academic cohort, and our cohort is primarily composed of people in the 28 to 35-year-old that make up about 75% of all the people that we surveyed. And in general, as critical technologists, we tend to trend negatively against corporate powers. In our data, we tracked mean and mode responses on a scale of 1 to 5, where 1 is a strong disagreement and 5 is a strong agreement. And we took mode to determine how choice may have been trending. Even among our skeptical cohort, we had a diversity of responses. These are just some of the ones that we wanted to highlight. There are places where people believe that data use is good and beneficial to them, and places where they definitely reject it. But it's not a totally consistent response. The current model of accepting and declining wholesale is not really able to get at this level of complexity. And what's more, we found a gap between what people wanted control over and what was being provided by companies. There needed to be some sort of dialogue between user and service to clarify what happens to that data.
But you can't have a conversation with a contract. This is data control, an online educational tool and chatbot to help users connect with the consequences of their data choices and have a single location to control their data outcomes across multiple websites. Over the course of a short dialogue, you could ask about the different components of a privacy policy and specify exactly what settings you want. Our team wanted to focus on the flow of the experience. We designed a more welcoming conversation to introduce audiences to the concepts of information privacy and what it means to accept the terms. Instead of building the chatbot, we spent our time on user research, content design, and art direction.
Our chatbot DC would ask the user the comfort levels with different privacy settings and explain what changing them would mean. In this example, the user isn't sure how to answer a question, so they ask for more information. DC provides them with a longer explanation about what that specific privacy choice might mean for them and how that might differ from the company's own intent. The website would also provide some introductory information about how privacy policies are set up and how companies use your data. For example, the 3 types of information you create every time you go online, and the 3 things that businesses can use your information for profit. This intro would be an entry point for users who aren't familiar with the typical ways companies use their data.
Our hope for the future would be to build the backend of this product and figure out how to connect it to a third-party website so that the users can actually seamlessly update their preferences. There are also potential policy ramification of building a tool like this. For example, if people could see how their preferences aligned or did not align with certain companies, how would they choose to engage with those companies? And how would it cause companies to adjust their practices? And we're very excited about all the potential uses for this kind of work. Thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to your feedback.